appreciate everyone making the time to join us for the bootcamp today. Like Paul said, we put these together based on partner feedback around different service offerings that Quest has and helping to train on the ways that we engage and help your clients in areas where you can, increase revenue. So today we're talking about one of my favorite service offerings that we have, and really it's because of the diversity where we can help on a lot of different areas across the stack. So for those of you who've been with us for sessions 1 through 4, you've learned a little bit about maybe some applications and system integration, some network, some other services around cybersecurity and those practices. And what technical on-call support does is it really crosses the entire spectrum of the IT stack, from infrastructure, I think we covered that last time, to cybersecurity, to a lot of different areas to help your clients out. So technical on-call support, like a lot of our services here at Quest, was driven from customer demand and really from our customers and our partners' ideas about how we can help their clients. So excited to share this with you. And again, if you have any questions, if you like this, if you found it beneficial, if you found any of our other sessions beneficial, please like it and share it within the community. We're putting this together for you guys. And again, thanks for hopping in today. So today, what we're going to be covering is technical on-call support and how it can address vast different capabilities and requirements from your customers. We're going to talk a little bit about how a small catalyst engagement can evolve into massive projects and massive service opportunities. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's driving this, right? What's the market situation right now across the world, really, in the technical space, in the operations space, in the delivery space for IT services. There are forces in the market that are driving this, and we're trying to address those needs as best we can through technical on-call support. You're gonna gain a little bit of knowledge around how to bundle in technical on-call support with maybe other services you're positioning today: data center, unified communications, network security, application security. Technical on-call support is a fantastic add-on or entry point before you start those other services as well. Help grow some revenue, right? How are we going to increase that MRR? How are we going to get more attention from our clients, and a little bit more of their spend, and help them knock out some projects? And then also, how do we position technical on-call support? How do we help clients and partners and your folks and different executives or IT leadership, the account, understand what technical on-call support really is and what it isn't? And so we're gonna put that together today. So every client needs this. Every client has a requirement for some type of support, whether it's scheduled or not scheduled. And again, this was driven. Technical on-call support was created, from specific client requirements. So we didn't come up with this on our own. Quest has been a managed service provider for going on 25 years now, right? So we've seen a lot of different iterations, a lot of different economic cycles, things changing, things evolving. But our customers have kind of told us why they need technical on-call support. So these are some reasons around areas where they've been looking for help, but backing up to the why that we discovered within the marketplace was, like I said, we've been a managed service provider for about 25 years. And oftentimes when we're supporting a client, maybe we're helping them in 1 or 2 of our service areas. So for those of you who know Quest, you know that we manage a lot of different things for folks. We help out with staffing, we help out with managed firewall, we help out with managed endpoint, patching, email security, all sorts of traditional managed services and managed cybersecurity services as well. Oftentimes, maybe we help a client out with 1 or 2 areas. We call those building blocks. So for example, one of our clients where we initially built out technical on-call support was a firewall as a service client. We were managing about 10 of their locations. We were delivering a firewall as a service where it tied into our security operations center 24/7. And they have a dedicated service manager. And our service managers are kind of that liaison with the customer, on a day-to-day operational basis, right? They're in there, they're understanding what their challenges are. And so this service manager was right there, every Monday for a status call when they came back to the office and things like that. And one Monday in particular, the client came in and voiced a challenge that they had over the weekend. They were a Microsoft SQL shop, it's a database, and they had some challenges with their Microsoft, their SQL database over the weekend. There were some specific queries that were taking a really, really long time and messing up their ability to close the books at the end of the year and kind of choking some of their applications. They shared this challenge with our service manager, and what really sparked technical on-call support about 7 years ago now was the idea that every single one of our Quest service level agreements as a managed service provider gave our clients the ability to leverage anyone on our team and any discipline on our team. But what we found was, in this use case specifically, we were the firewall people, right? We were the people who were helping them manage and support their firewall. So when they had a Microsoft SQL issue, they didn't think that, hey, I have access to Quest, all right, here, number 2, 24/7. I can get immediate support, right? And I have an existing contract with experts who I can call and open up a ticket under my existing service level agreement and get access to a senior database administrator to help me with this SQL issue. They didn't think about that because, well, shame on us, we didn't necessarily communicate that the best to them as well as we could have. But also people kind of compartmentalize their services, right? Those people are my firewall people. Those people are my data center people. Those people are my network people, right? So what we did based on understanding that customer requirement and the idea that we were there, we had DBAs who could help them knock that challenge out very, very quickly. We built a standalone service offering. Now, every single one of our managed service clients has technical on-call support. Every single one of them. We have over thousands of managed service clients. They have the ability to open up a ticket. But what we did was we created a standalone offering that we're not monitoring anything. We're not managing anything. We're not supporting anything under this contract. But what we do have is we have a dedicated service manager assigned to that account. We have a basic framework of a contract that says, in the event you need somebody, we can schedule that person for you. We can dispatch that person to any location you need them. Or if it's an emergency, we can get them available to you right now, right? So it breaks out 3 different labor categories for every single skill set that Quest has. So it addresses immediate support. It can be proactive if they want to schedule support in the future. It can help them with planning. It help them reduce their response time. They don't have to hire a person to fulfill a specific project. It's not long-term staffing. The best analogy I've heard of it is, think of it as it's the ride sharing application, Lyft or Uber, if you will, of engineering. Okay. I need this skill set at this time to help me get from point A to point B, and Quest and Talks can help fulfill that. Again, we've been doing this. I say this is about a 7-year-old offering. It's a 7-year-old offering in the sense of we created technical on-call support. We call it Talks for short, as a standalone offering. But Quest has had this as an operation and as a core to our business belief for 25 years. We just found that clients didn't necessarily think of us in that role when we were talking around specific managed service offerings. They thought they maybe could only open up a ticket for that specific service offering. So it's a fantastic way to really give clients access to resources 24/7, anywhere they need them, and from as far as dispatch standpoint. So what's really driving this? So that's cool, Adam. Like, you guys have a lot of engineers, you have a lot of resources and different skill sets. So what? The so what is there is a significant shortage in labor, in technical talent and resources that is, continuing to fall off a cliff. So if you look at the charts here, really, if you look at it has a lot to do with population growth. but also there's significant labor shortages coming up. So this is labor shortages projected into 2030. And you see the US, China, Japan, UK, Germany, all the major countries in the world, are expecting to have significant labor shortages coming up in 2030. And this is a significant cost to your clients and to our clients and to our economy, in the sense of there are jobs that are going unfilled, and there's advances in technology that are not being realized because the labor is just not there to help people get the jobs done. This is a very, very significant challenge that's coming up now. AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning and agents and all that kind of good stuff is advancing quickly as well. But like we see in any jump forward, right? A lot of people kind of doomsday it with AI, like AI is going to destroy the labor market. It might destroy some parts of the labor market, but it's also going to generate significant opportunities for different types of labor and engagement and different types of jobs in the future. So, we all saw this happens every time, big shifts come. The labor shortages are not necessarily going to go away just because AI. So when we're going through what we see as some of the most in-demand tech jobs, these are areas that we cover in technical on-call support. What we're seeing people, demand and request and, look to hire right now are senior developers, right? Data scientists, artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers, very, very high demand space right now. Cybersecurity specialists, as well as, just general architects and system administrators. So we are seeing these are very, very in-demand tech roles for folks. People are trying to figure out how to move from point A to point B, from on-premise to cloud. And we're also seeing a lot of people take their specific applications and move them back into dedicated instances. So the architect role, the developer role, how they're going to secure it, and how they're going to manage their data. Very, very in-demand roles. Now, Quest is a staffing organization. We do help people staff long-term engagements. So if you need help or your clients need help with long-term staffing, that is not what technical on-call support is. Technical on-call support is for short-term engagements where we provide a specific engineer at a specific time for a duration that, could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be as short as 4 hours. But these are the jobs we're seeing requested for placement. And a lot of these jobs, right? So cloud architect, someone designing a migration is going to need a system admin. They're going to need a network professional. They're going to need someone there to help them, with rebuilding an application if they move it to Azure, AWS, or GCP. So the architect can do the big design, but there's still people they need to plug in to knock out specific tasks. And that's where on-call support can be built out. So specifically, what on-call support is, and Kevin, thank you for your question. I saw it pop up. The disciplines for technical on-call support are similar to, if you're familiar with the building blocks of Quest and the OSI model, as far as starting at physical infrastructure and going all the way to applications. Technical on-call support is available for all resources in the entire IT stack. So, for example, a lot of clients will use technical on-call support for dispatching techs, cable technicians, people who can help hang a wireless access point, help set up desktops, help set up phones for a UCAS deployment. We had a hospital group, as an example, that wanted to set up crash carts for they had new iPads that they had acquired through a partner of ours, and they needed a team of 4 to go to about 6 hospitals in the Virginia mid-Atlantic area and deploy these crash carts and these iPads and install them, power them on, and basically go through a simple run book. And they just needed technicians to do that. So level 1 technicians, cable on-site desktop folks, people who can help with simple deployments, all the way up through advanced networking engineering, CCIE level engineers, those types of folks who have serious accreditation. One of my favorite stories, and I apologize if you're a partner and you've heard this story before, but technical on-call support, a partner of ours reached out on a Friday and had a client who had just purchased a pretty advanced switch device from a vendor partner of ours, Cisco, out of Australia, and they were building a Nexus 9K, pretty advanced architecture in Perth, Australia. And they called us on a Friday and they said, hey, they lost their CCIE, they lost their architect, they lost their advanced networking person. Is there any way we could get a CCIE level engineer on site in Perth, Australia by Monday to help with a Nexus 9K turn up and test at a rail yard, right? So for those of you who don't know where Perth, Australia is, I didn't at the time, embarrassed to admit that. I was an econ major, not necessarily the best at different cities around the world, but it was on the far side of Australia, and it was a rail yard out there where they needed to get a technician. So they leveraged their talks agreement. We went to our team, went to our bench, went to our virtual bench of resources, folks we know, trust, and we were able to dispatch a CCIE level engineer to work with the client that following Monday. And we built, I think it was about 8 hours worth of billing that got debited against that client's technical on-call support agreement. So it's a very, very simple process. And again, this is something that's been baked within Quest for about 25 years. We've been doing this for a very, very long time. All the skill sets are very specifically called out based on resource type. So for example, it's going to be level 1 technician, right? It's going to be a senior VoIP engineer. It's going to be a senior collaboration engineer, a senior audio-visual person. So if they need help with AV, I'm sure all of you have clients who have at one time wanted to throw their laptop or their vendor's laptop against the wall when they're trying to get their conference room to function effectively. So clients will use talks to say, hey, I have an important meeting or an important board meeting, and I have some executives coming on site. Can you send an audio-visual tech to come on site and make sure that my Crestron or my Teams room or my Zoom room is functioning appropriately and easy to set up and ready to go when I have this important meeting come up? So, absolutely, we'll send a tech out on site, make sure that conference room, that audio-visual equipment is tuned and ready to rock, and preparation for that, or just have a person on site to help with that. So those are the kind of, unique requirements that technical on-call support can be used for. It's really that phone a friend, hey, I need a resource, Uber of engineering, if you will, to help clients execute what they're trying to do. Again, it was created out of customer demand. It was created out of customers saying, I don't have this resource right now. I don't have this person on staff right now. Either they're on vacation, they resigned, they took a better gig, they got trained up and they, took a better job somewhere else, whatever it may be. People in technology are moving all the time. So technical on-call support gives them consistency to reach out and get help as needed. So the process is very simple. It's a 3-page agreement. It spells out how we're going to basically onboard them as a client, how we're going to document a little bit about their environment and create what's called an escalation authority list, who has the right on their team to call in and use some of their funds or initiate what we classify as billable support. Very, very simple, straightforward. I think it's size 12 or 11 font, right? So no crazy T's and C's there, but basically here's what it is. Here's what we do. And then on page 2 is all the different labor categories, right? There's remote support hours, there's on-site support hours, and there's emergency. And those are all classified in different ways. And that's all spelled out like, hey, this, break glass, I need someone like right now. That's an emergency rate, and those are different tiers. We do have really two ways we can do it. One is a initial retainer. Some clients like to set up a known budget for support, right? So this can be anywhere from 5,000 to, I think the largest talks agreement we've done was a couple $100,000 where they budget for support hours, right? And that's that's available to them for the year. They can renew it at the end of the year if they'd like to. It's not use or lose funds, but we do ask for some consideration there depending on how they want to add funds to it at the end of the year. We fully onboard them. The other option is a pay-as-you-go option. And this is something we put in place because some clients really like the budget. They really like to have the known, I have $10,000 in this bucket with Quest, and I can use it for the next 12 months when I need it. Others want to say, hey, I'm okay establishing a corp-to-corp relationship and using a on-demand function, right? So they call up and they say, I need this level technician at this location. The service manager says, certainly, happy to help you with that. Here's the funding link. Please fund at time of request. And if they've set that up previously, we initiate that draw from them and execute the technician's dispatch. So one thing that we don't do on technical on-call support is we don't establish net terms, right? So if your client's like, well, I only deal on net 30 or net 60 terms or things like that, we can definitely help them in the professional services world and set up contracts and terms like that. But technical on-call support is either a retainer based or a pay-as-you-go model. So they have a dedicated service manager. That's the person who opens the tickets for them. They can call into the NOC 24/7. We know who they are. We document who they are, and we have what's called, again, that escalated authority list. Escalation authority list that's who's approved to engage and initiate billable activity. So very flexible, very responsive. It's again 24/7. They can call in anytime to request resources. So we went through a lot of our contracts over the last couple of years, and there are lots of different reasons people reach out on their talks agreement. Some of them are emergencies, right? So the top of the line here, and again, Quest is a full incident response, incident containment organization. We help clients recover from ransomware and malware outbreaks, but some clients have used their talks agreement for emergency services, like, hey, we got hit with a ransomware virus, our files are encrypted, we need help, right? And they might not even be a managed services client. They might not even be they might be just a talks client who just brought us in to help with Microsoft issues, and they get hit by a ransomware virus. We get called pretty often for those things like that. Could just be an internet issue, right? They could be, they could have access to their local network. They could, their users could be talking to each other internally, but for some reason they lose access to the internet, or their circuit goes down, or they need help troubleshooting why a certain branch wireless drops. So they'll open up a ticket and say, hey, here's our environment, here's what we're dealing with. We'll go through some troubleshooting with them and say hey, can we address this from a remote standpoint, or do you want to dispatch? Remote services are billed in 15-minute increments. On-site is a 4-hour minimum for dispatch. So we try to address things remotely if that's what the client wants. Some clients, they want dispatch, they want boots on the ground, and that's totally fine. We're happy to accommodate that. It's really how do they want to engage. So these are some of the areas that we're seeing. We're starting to see more and more areas around some of the Microsoft issues that are coming up near term, right? So in September of this year and end of September this year, there's some significant multi-factor authentication requirements and enforcement that are coming down. So we're seeing more requests coming in around how do they, are we ready for that enforcement? There's some end of life things going on in the Microsoft world right now that people are calling in and needing to get on the phone with a senior Microsoft resource to understand how it's going to affect their environment, right? So those are pretty common challenges in the marketplace right now, and there's a lot of information out there, but sometimes people just want to get on the phone with an expert who's been through this before. I got asked a question one time, and I kind of had a joking response. Last week when one of my partners asked, "Hey, why would a company, they have six locations, 200 employees, why would they hire you guys to help them, patch their firewalls, or why would they bring you in to help?" And I jokingly kind of said, well, that client probably refreshes their firewalls maybe every 3 to 5 years, right? And maybe they have the same IT resource that they had three or 5 years ago, but maybe not. And from a support standpoint, we see this type of thing every single day. Every single day, we're seeing these types of engagements. Our engineers are in these transitions, in these migrations, in these upgrades, in these end of life, end of services conversations with the different manufacturers, different software vendors every single day. Some of your clients, they're dealing with their specific environment, and they're dealing with it 24/7. They know it better than anybody, but they're not dealing with the same challenges on a day-to-day basis. So I just kind of jokingly said, well, when people get accused of murder, do they try to hire the best lawyers that they can? Well, because you don't necessarily want to represent yourself when you're dealing with a potentially catastrophic event, right? So you want to bring in people who are in that fight every single day. And that's a belief one way or the other. Some people in IT believe that, some people don't. There are people out there who do it themselves, and do-it-yourselfers are fantastic, and God bless them, and that's awesome. This is, hey, if you want to come to Home Depot and talk to someone, with the orange apron on, and maybe you contract with them to come over and help you understand how to retile your bathroom. That's what Tox is, right? I'm going to hire someone who's done this before. I'm going to bring someone in as a sounding board who can help me with this firmware upgrade or this new version, or I can't figure out this firewall config. Another example of a fantastic Tox engagement that we just had 2 days ago was an organization was really upset because they lost their primary internet, and they failed over to a wireless backup, right? And it was a different level of capacity, right? I believe they went from like a 1 gig circuit to a much smaller environment, and they were frustrated because their core manufacturing systems went down because their core applications were not able to function across a limited, constrained link, which they had the backup link, they had the business resumption, business continuity plan, they had all this stuff in place. But what they failed at was a simple configuration and policy on the firewall around prioritizing their applications. So what they did was they took down their manufacturing because they had it running across a gig. Then they had it fail over to a wireless environment. And it was not simple, but it was the idea of when that firewall fails over and when that connection fails over, they weren't prioritizing their applications. So some, knucklehead in accounting who is, streaming YouTube was getting the same priorities as their ERP system and their manufacturing systems that now are offline because they're all trying to go across the same connection because their primary connection failed, right? So those simple configurations of a firewall, of a circuit, of an upgrade, of a transition took down and cost this customer. They're a new customer for us. We got involved through an emergency kind of Tox response. Cost them about $1.2 million in productivity while they tried to figure out why their core applications were offline. That's real money. That's real impact to the bottom line for businesses. And it's not because they were doing anything wrong. They had a solid firewall in place. they had connectivity in place, they had a failover strategy in place, but they forgot to prioritize their applications on the firewall config, right? And so what you can do is, hey, the next time that happens, and we got involved to come check and see what's going on with that, open up a ticket when you're building out a new or upgrading your firewall, and go through that with an expert. Go through that with someone who's been there before. Go through that with someone who's seen those types of scenarios, and can help execute. So that's a big part of why we engage in technical on-call support. It's a big reason of why clients trust us, and it can be for all sorts of different reasons. These are some of the top 10 reasons that we're seeing out there. But we, about a year and a half ago, Microsoft changed some rules around their premier support engagements, and they kind of have a user lose opportunity for their premier support for clients who subscribe to Microsoft 365 and those types of services on a couple hundred users to a couple thousand users. There's kind of mandated, it's not really mandated, but it's strongly suggested pricing for Microsoft support, and it's user lose. So we've seen some clients, instead of investing in that user lose, they've decided to leverage talks to, in the event that they need help with their SharePoint or their Microsoft tenant or anything like that, they can leverage talks, but it also gives them access to use those dollars that were kind of siloed to one vendor. They can use it across multiple things, because not everybody is all in with Microsoft. Microsoft would love everyone to be all in with Microsoft, but diversification is the only free lunch, and people have different components in their tech stack. So what some clients did was they took that single thread funding and they put it in a technical on-call support, and they now could use those same budgeted dollars that were being lost at the end of the year for Microsoft support, for maybe some help with a VMware instance, maybe some help with some firewalls, maybe some help with some application development, all sorts of different things they could use it for. So it gives clients a lot of flexibility to leverage expertise in different areas. So these services and what technical on-call support does for you as a partner is very similar to application development or managed cybersecurity or helping people out with their business continuity plan. It's an entry point to understand more about what your clients are dealing with, where their business is evolving, where they're having challenges. So meeting them with the idea of, hey, I know you can't hire all these people. I know you really, really want a chief security information officer. I know you really, really need a new network engineer or a sysadmin or a database administrator or someone like that to add to your team, but you don't have headcount for it. Technical on-call support gives you the ability to say, hey, I have people who can help augment your team temporarily and help you get those projects done. While at the same time, it gives you kind of that bat phone, right? For, hey, if something goes really, really sideways and you need emergency support, you have an 800 number, you have a service manager, you have an organization that knows you, and they can help you in the event of an emergency. Or if you're just trying to knock out that firmware upgrade or that migration, or trying to figure out, hey, I need to phone a friend to figure out this application has lived in our data center as a client. I'm speaking as a client, has lived in our data center on our premise for 10 years. And we want to move this to Azure or to AWS. But we're not quite exactly sure how to do it. They have a good idea, but they're not quite sure the ramifications of refactoring that or migrating that or replicating that, how that's going to happen. Talks. Open up a ticket, say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Here's where we're trying to go. Can you bring someone to the table who's done this before? That's the perfect use case for technical on-call support. And you as a partner are involved in those conversations. You're seeing that transition, and then you're seeing the next phase of what your clients are trying to achieve, and you can help them with that. So it gives you additional visibility to the challenges they have, and it gives you huge opportunities to help them with their next cybersecurity initiative, their cloud and email migration initiative, emergency services if they need it. And then again, I know I talked about a little bit earlier, technical on-call support is not a long-term staffing engagement. It can be. We have some clients who've opened up tickets and projects go on for a very, very long time. But for the most part, it's not a long-term staffing engagement. We do that. And, sometimes building some credibility as a client with a client through technical on-call support validates like, okay, everyone says they could do these things. Let's open up a ticket. Let's start small. Let's start with a $5,000 retainer or a pay-as-you-go, and let's see if Quest can execute. That's totally fine with us. We love executing for our clients and for our partners, and it leads to much longer engagements. Like, hey, these people can help me with the short-term stuff. Maybe they can help me find a resource for a long-term staffing engagement. So huge upside on that as well. Millions of dollars have gone through our partner program, helping organizations, and a lot of it has started out with a simple $5,000 technical on-call support agreement. So as far as like, hey, your partner, he's thinking about it, how do we learn more about it? These are some reasons as far as building that out, right? You're gonna be tied into your client's environment, right? You can help out with everything from, I need a cabling resource to, in Florida, or I need someone to go swap a drive in Dallas, whatever it is for on-site resources, happy to do that. You get expertise on demand, scheduled at your convenience with your client around specific applications, right? It could be their ERP system, it could be their CRM, it could be their email services, it could be their cloud instance, whatever it is. We have hundreds of engineers in different disciplines that we can place specifically to work with you and your client on a specific initiative. It'll smooth out kind of the bumps as far as hiring and trying to recruit people. So it could be a temporary thing to help them out. It really helps people solve problems and have you be seen as you guys are already trusted advisors and technology consultants, helping them get larger projects done. This is a nice bolt-on to what you're already doing with them. If you're helping them secure data center operations or unified communications or carrier services, the same people making those decisions are often dealing with a huge list of we all go into the CIO's office or the IT director's office, and they got those, top 5 or top 10 initiatives that they're trying to chew through for the year. You can place an engineer and say, hey, I can get you someone to help with that. I can help you get some of that for that end of life project coming up, or I can help get you someone for that multi-factor enforcement coming up from Microsoft in September. Have you taken a look at that? Do you want to set up a simple agreement to get that done? So fantastic way to grow your business and kind of cross into other areas where you might not be helping clients out today, or might not feel comfortable, going down that path. Talks can help you go down that path and help you execute and kind of grow into those areas. So from a Quest standpoint and from a Bootcamp standpoint, huge shortage. I know huge shortage in technical resources across all the industries, right? And this is in the ERP space, this is in application, this is in cybersecurity, this is in just simple network development, architecture, data scientists. Everyone loves to talk the buzzwords around AI and all that kind of stuff. Big shortage there too, but just the blocking and tackling, especially in the middle market where a lot of us live. Again, our kind of key customer profile is in that middle market. That's where we do about 70% of our revenue with our partners, is in that 100 to 2,000 space for user count. We do larger enterprise and we do SMB as well, but that group is very, very, they're having a hard time finding resources to keep up with things. Start small, $5,000 retainer, pay as you go model. Lots of different options, gives you the opportunity to kind of say, hey, yeah, I can help with that. Technical on-call support gives you the ability to say, I got a guy, I got a person, someone can help you with that. We can engage. And again, the flexibility is key, right? So the last takeaway for this is technical on-call support is built to meet your customer where they're trying to go. It's not a predefined package in the sense of you have to consume it on site, or you have to only consume it as an emergency, or you have to, only consume it as a remote support. It meets your customer where they are with a funding level of what they're comfortable with, and really gives them the ability to get access to a diverse set of engineers who can help out with a lot of different problems. Paul, I don't know. I saw a couple things come across, but I don't know if any questions came out there. If you got anything hidden from the team.
Yeah. So we got a lot of questions. Do you want me to kind of dive into some of them?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great. So Kevin was wondering, do talks agreements have SLAs, or is it best effort?
Yeah, great question. So SLAs are based around the response time dictated by the client. So if they need emergency support same day, we can get that for them. If they are comfortable with a 24-hour advanced scheduling, that would fall into either our remote or our on-site resources. It is best effort in the sense of hey, we're gonna get you an assigned specific resource for that identified problem, within like 15 minutes or something like that. There aren't SLAs built around that, but there are SLAs around response time, acknowledgement, and a callback for assignment of resources. And then if the client's okay paying the emergency rate, that's shared with them at the time of their request, and they can make a decision of, okay, yeah, I'm good paying the emergency, basically incident response or cybersecurity rate for that resource, or no, we're okay. Let's schedule that person to come out tomorrow. So, yeah.
Great. And Kevin's also wondering, I don't know if you've addressed this, but I just want to make sure we do. Is talks purchased in blocks of time or tiered rates?
So it's blocks of time. So it's either a prepaid retainer, or at time of request, they can initiate a block transfer, right? So I think the minimum is 1,000 at time of request, but that's basically set up a banking link to pull funds at that time, and that's really depends on how their accounting department kind of wants to handle it.
Okay, perfect. Jim is wondering, of the talks resources, do you have an onshore resource, or are they near or offshore?
No, great question. Great question. So they are US based personnel. So they are all over the United States. We do have clients that have international requirements. So we do dispatch overseas, kind of like the Perth, Australia, Frankfurt, Germany, UK, Ireland. We have folks in country, and then we have a great partner network. We run a very, very sophisticated clear database and strategy for coordinating resources internationally. People we know, we trust, and we've done business with in the past. So if we don't have them in territory, we'll source them and handle that headache for the client. But resources are US based for perfect customers.
Jim's also wondering, do you have shared and dedicated resources? And what he means is shared meaning one rep might have 10 clients, but no one client has high demands, or a dedicated meaning one client has one or more dedicated talk specialists dedicated to them, not shared with other clients.
No, awesome question. Yeah. So we do run a project-based implementation model for our different teams, right? So if it's a massive client who has significant needs all the time, they might have a service manager and a talks resource coordinator who's dedicated to them, and that's their account. If it's a account with, say, like 150 users, and maybe they open up a talks request, a couple times a month, they go to a service manager and a talks resource coordinator who has similar accounts, right? Of that nature. And it's based on the size of the client and how active their talks agreements or how active their requests are. Same way we do our managed services and our professional services engagements. It kind of depends on the nature of the client and how active they're going to be.
Okay, perfect. Also, question, if a customer is using Microsoft MFA today, do they need to do anything by September?
Yeah, great question. So, they need to make sure that they're enforcing it for all their people. Not that this ever happens, and not that executives ever make silly decisions. But for example, let's just say a chief financial officer from a client that maybe we worked with for a couple of years hated MFA and didn't want it on his laptop, and maybe other couple other executives who probably are the most important ones that have MFA enforced. Maybe their IT people figured out a way to bypass it, so they stopped getting yelled at by their CIO and CEO and other folks. That's not going to work anymore after September. So if you have executives or VIPs or people who don't have the patience to, click more than 2 times, not that I'm being cynical, but there are people out there like that. Yes, you do need to make sure that it's being enforced on everybody, or Microsoft's going to shut it down. Also on service accounts, and this is something that people aren't necessarily taking a look at. Service accounts, meaning these aren't necessarily accounts within your Microsoft stack that have people involved with them. They're operational units within your application. And those service accounts need to have MFA enabled as well. That can break a link in your chain as far as data gathering, report generation, sharing information internally. That's something that needs to be audited as well. So what we did is we built out some scripts that we run within the Microsoft tenant and within the client's Microsoft stack. And it gives them a quick readout, a quick snapshot of what's going to happen and areas that they need to make sure that MFA is being enforced. It was for global administrators last October. It is now for everybody and for service accounts. The really impactful one, September 1st is going to be the hit, and then the end of September is the next one. That's the one that's going to lock people out. So yeah, it's going to be spicy.
Adam, I want you to know, just want to get you some reviews. Jim says, excellent answer to the MFA question. Good point. So Adam, gold star. Great
Thanks,
job.
Jim.
You're crushing it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Good deal.
Jim's also wondering, do you have any local, state, or federal certified resources? And can I find a list of cities where you have resources officed, if any, or all these folks remote? That's a lot of questions, Adam.
No,
I know I just threw them all at you. So.
No, that's good. That's good stuff. Yes, we can get you content on that. We can get you resource locations. We are pretty much in all the NFL cities and a couple tier 2 cities. And by the way, I hate the term tier 2 cities. I grew up in Sacramento, and the fancy pants over the hill in San Francisco and the Bay Area always refer to us as a tier 2 city. And I don't like that term, so I'm not going to use it anymore. But we do have resources all over the US and can get you that list. And then also, we do have, if anyone needs it, or we'd like to have more details on it, we have a capability review that we'd love to do for you specifically. If anyone has any in-depth questions, we do them all the time. Love to hop on a call and kind of go into that. And then also, I don't think I covered it during the discussion, but we have a specific turnkey playbook, which is a awesome document that Darcy and our marketing team put together that goes through potential catalyst emails you can send out, all of our documentation on technical on-call support, questions, and responses back to clients that you may want to have, and really kind of package it for you to kind of use with your branding and your information as you'd like to. So if this will be sent out afterwards to anyone who attended. But these 2 links here, this the turnkey marketing playbooks, and then upcoming schedule is also something that love to make sure if you need any resources on that, we'd love to share with you. So
yeah, fantastic resources, and we'll bring those QR codes back up as well in a second. So real quick, speaking of Darcy, guys, please give it up for Darcy, VP of Marketing, who's going to be doing a drawing for a $200 gift card.
Thank you, Paul. And Adam, thanks for covering the go-to-market. I was going to run through that. Also, I just want to say, if anyone, if you go to the page, we've got several go-to-market playbooks. If you just, let us know if you want to hop on a call and maybe talk through some marketing strategy. We're super happy to walk through the playbook with you and help with any marketing strategy ideas that you might have, and we can share what's working for us and what we're doing. So we don't want you to think that we've produced these resources, now you're on your own. We're happy to help. So just keep that in mind. And today's winner is Kevin Barrett. So congratulations, Kevin. We will be reaching out to you shortly after this webinar with some information. It will be a digital card. So we'll send you an email, and it will go to the email address that you used to register. So if you have another email address that you prefer us to use, just drop it in the chat and we'll grab that, but we'll send that to you shortly after this webinar today.
Awesome. Congrats, Kevin. Good deal.
Yeah, congrats, Evan. Couple things. We are going to be having one more bootcamp series, increase revenue opportunities through assessment. So on August 20th, we'll be talking all about assessments. You can register for that bootcamp through the QR code. You can also go to our partner portal and not only register there, but you can access all the other bootcamp series, take advantage of the playbook. Adam, am I forgetting anything?
No. If you got any questions, please reach out anytime. Again, we put these together for you as partners. Any feedback is welcome. And yeah, thanks again I know everyone's busy, so thank you for making the time and hanging out with us for today.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.